Hello, everyone. You're watching CIES Talks, a video podcast series brought to you by CIES. CIES, the International Center for Sports Studies, are an independent study center located in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. They provide research and top-level education to the world of sports. And to find out more about the work they do, you can visit CIES.ch. In case you didn't know, CIES are also the organizers of Europe's #1 sports management program, the FIFA Masters program, which I'm a proud alumni of. And our guest today as well is a graduate of the program that teaches the humanities, management, and law of sports. But before I introduce him, I will do the honors. First, Debolade Banjo is my name. What I will be doing on this podcast, however, is leading conversations with my colleagues, fellow alumni, and experts generally in different sectors of the sports industry as they share their insights, their professional and academic experiences, and as we all know, as they all just basically navigate this very interesting but can be complicated world of sports. Now, let's move on to the interesting bit. Joining us today is Leonardo Rossi, who is the head of football real estate revenue at Como 1907, an Italian football club which recently made it back to, which recently returned to Serie A. Well, yeah, that's right, they just made it back. Serie A, of course, is a top tier division in Italy for anyone who doesn't know. Before joining Como, Leo has worked for more than 10 years in other Italian clubs like AS Roma, Juventus, to name a few. And his career in football started immediately after he finished from the FIFA Masters program in 2008, a testament to how well-rounded the program can be. And I bet Leo can give us a bit more insight on all of that later. Leo, welcome. How are you?
Ciao a tutti. Thanks for having invited me into this opportunity to tell you and to tell to the one who are listening what basically I have done after my graduation at the FIFA Master. So thanks again.
Yes, Milan, a lot of people, when we did the in case people don't know, the FIFA Master is done across 3 different countries. The students start out in Leicester in the United Kingdom. They move over to Milan in Italy, and then we finish off in Neuchâtel, Switzerland. And the general consensus is that Milan is the coolest place to be. Well, I'm speaking for myself, but I would say a lot of people feel the same. What can you still remember from those 10 months, Leo? I think 2008 was a long time ago, but anything that comes straight to mind?
Yeah, so it means that I'm quite old, but yeah, let's skip this part. Yeah. No, well, actually, I have some very, very amazing memories about all the 3 locations, actually. I really enjoyed the whole year there. Yeah, Milan, basically, I knew it already, so it wasn't really a surprise for me. But yeah, of course, it's a city that is probably one of the most international, probably the most international one in Italy. So yeah, of course, I think that the feeling is still an amazing city to enjoy also the nightlife, and everything that the city can offer. Also in terms of sport.
Yeah, totally. It has that hustle and bustle. I'm from Lagos in Nigeria, so Milan reminded me a lot of where I was from. So I really felt like home there. What happened after the FIFA Master, Leo? What was your journey like? I feel like it's very interesting where you are right now, because your role at Como is something that it's not a very regular or type of role you see people doing football. So I'm very curious to know how you ended up there and what happened, after the program.
Yeah, first of all, let me reply to your last part of the question. So basically, yeah, you're right. My role isn't really that common, but it's quite common in Italy since quite a few years ago, because I don't know if you are aware about our stadia situation. So basically, we are quite far away from certain European countries such as UK or Germany in terms of infrastructure. So it's a huge issue here, and basically many clubs are now dealing with this issue, either refurbishing, renovating, or build a new building or a new stadium or a new venue for sports. So my role basically is a sort of trade union between the commercial aspects of football, so of the venue mainly, so the ticketing, the food and beverage, some aspect of sponsorship, the match day organization, and not just for the, let's say, for the stadium, but also for the training center, and linking with the property in terms of facilities and management. So in order to develop the infrastructure, many clubs have a department that can be called property or facilities. So my role is to put together, basically to put in connection these two worlds, the match day, let's say, the commercial aspect of match day and non-match days, of course, and the property department. So trying to maximize the actual venue, but of course, in order to plan a new venue, try to maximize all the possible revenue streams from the venue. So I hope that in the future, this role can be really, really structured in all the clubs that have already this mindset, to refurbish or to develop a new venue. And again, we are facing in 2032 the European Championship here in Italy. So I think also the government, from the political aspects, are really in a sort of how can I say? Focus, the subject. So let's hope, at least. So, but while to finish your question, right after the masters, I've always had a passion for football, of course, but for fans. So I am a fan still, but I really loved the colors and the atmosphere that you feel listening to the chants of the fans and all the colors and whatever it's basically related to the fans. So because of that, I always try to find my space into the football world, and I had a very lucky opportunity thanks to a colleague from my class, which basically put me in touch with a talent scout, let's say, who I think was 2009, right after the Masters. And yeah, basically he called me saying there's an opportunity in football, without knowing where I could have been in the future. But I said, yes, okay, let's talk. And luckily it was Juventus. So yeah, I started really from a very, very challenging club. And the project was the new stadium of Juventus. And at the time, I was hired as basically sales manager, selling all the packages, the hospitality packages for the new building. And from there, 3 years spent in Turin. Amazing, really amazing club, amazing memories. And after that, I received a call from AS Roma with the new ownership, the first American ownership after the Italian owner in AS Roma. And basically they wanted to renew, to redevelop the stadium, the actual one. And they have many projects for innovate also the facilities, so the venues of the club. And yeah, then I moved to Rome, where I spent 7 seasons, starting as a head of premium seats, so basically managing all the also infrastructure part of the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, and of course selling and preparing the package for the AS Roma season. And then after 1 year, I got promoted and I became the head of basically stadium ticket revenue. And so all the stadium was under, let's say, my revenue part. So there I spent 6 seasons doing this. And also I had the opportunity to be in touch with the project of the new venue that unfortunately now is already old, because the new ownership changed again, and now they are preparing and presenting a new project. But still, considering the level of accuracy that the project was made, I really learned a lot of, let's say, also infrastructure, let's say, tricks, how can I say, or some interesting aspects of this job, this world. And after that, I spent 3 years in Gabetti Property Solution, which is the biggest real estate company in Italy, is listed in the Milan Stock Exchange. where basically I really learned some, let's say, property aspects. So basically from the investor's point of view, and how to create or shape a facility in order to make money. So 10 years in the football, let's say, on the field, and then 3 years from the, let's say, back of the curtain of real estate world. Then now I have this role that I tried to explain you a few minutes ago. And so now I'm here in Como. I joined Como last year. In 2023. Yes. So yeah, 1 year and a half almost. So the last season in Serie B that luckily we got promoted. Now this season we are in Serie A. And yeah, the challenges were really interesting because the venue.
Before we go on to the challenges, Leo, let me bring you in and get your thoughts on, how working on both sides look like. And I mean, when I mean both sides, I mean the big club and then a small club, because it looks like you went straight into the thick of things with those, giant Italian clubs. How easy is it to innovate and try out new things, on both sides? Now at Como, my guess will be you're probably in control of things because the club is figuring things out, but how easy is it to innovate? And is this always a pointer on how a club can make rapid growth or maybe slow growth in that sense?
Yeah, actually, I am still very lucky because the ownership that I've had and I have are really, really the forerunner for many aspects, especially this ownership here in Como, this Indonesian ownership that basically are letting us try new way to maximize revenue, not just, of course, in terms of revenue, but every single aspect of the life of a football club. It's open for us to try to give ideas and new concept. So also in AS Roma before, with the new ownership, the American first ownership, the margin, of course, were reduced compared to now, but still I had some opportunity to present my ideas. And of course, in Juventus, my first experience, I was really on a very, very specific parameters. I really didn't put many ideas, but also it was my first experience. So basically there I learned how to do things. And at the time, still the ownership, the Agnelli family is the oldest ownership in Italy, is still very, very careful about innovation. I think that at the time it was the most innovative club because they build the new venue, one of the first new building in terms of stadia in Italy at the time. So I'm quite lucky. Hope to maintain this luck.
Yeah. If I'm hearing you correctly, you have referenced something about the ownerships of both clubs. People at the top being open to change. Is this why is it that when we see clubs that are not being quick to innovate, what do you think is going on through the people who are supposed to make these decisions that drives that innovative path forward? Are they worried about what the fans will think? Is it because they have a lot more to lose? Or it's just the sheer size of the club that counts here?
I hope that I have understood your question, because I think that the main difference is the timing. So if there's an industrial plan, let's say of 3 years, I think it's very difficult, to innovate, because there's a huge risk in trying to do things new. Maybe if you must stick to a plan or a business plan with a certain number of revenue, and you have to present at the end of the season those numbers, it's hard to let's say to innovate, because again it's risky. So I think the vision of an ownership is the key. So now I am probably in the best situation, because again, as I said, my ownership is really a long-term. They have a long-term vision, so they let us try and this is very important. But it's not a better way compared to another. It's just a choice of the ownership. Again, if they must be stick to a plan in 2 or 3 years, the space, the margins are really reduced. So I think the main difference is this, if I have understood your question.
Yeah, no, you totally explained that. Thank you very much. Because everyone at the end of the day wants growth for their club, right? They just have to weigh and measure the risk and measure their, what kind of timeline they are on to decide when to make that decision. So yes, indeed, that makes sense. There was something you mentioned earlier. It was right at the start when you were talking about what you do at Como. It struck my mind that a lot of people see revenue and success at clubs only through the lenses of, okay, how much shirt sales are we making? How much brand sponsorship can we bring in? How many brands can we have, on display on match days at the stadium? But you've talked about something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about, at least from my end, making your club and the stadium, the ground, the facilities, a major revenue driver, for the club. How is that playing out at Como at the moment, especially a club that is in a fantastic location, a fantastic tourist location? How has that, been coming along? What are some of the challenges you're facing? And maybe we should start with the successes before the challenges.
Yeah, well, I think that the milestone of our ownership here is the community. So the bond, the link with the community is very, very important. So as you mentioned, and it's also related to our previous talk about the fact that the margin and the risks are very important, but also challenging. So even though maybe the number of brands are not maximum, but the ones that we have picked, or the one that they chose us, are really, really linked to the community. So this milestone basically brought us a very, very clear path to follow. So we need to work for the community. So the community of Como, of Lake Como, it's our objective. So once that you have this in mind, everything comes easier. And again, it's not a matter of how many, but the quality also, and the vision that the sponsor, the partner, the fans have and want for the club. So it's a part of the speech that we are talking, right? It's a bond that we must follow, and I think this really helps in order to measure the success, not just in how can I say number at the end of a budget, but what we really are bringing to our community, what we are bringing to our fans, to our sponsor. So we always look at them. We always ask them if they are happy, what we can do, and if they suggest us something, like we do. This is, I think, the key to get a success, of course, in a long period strategy. As we mentioned before, if you have like 1 or 2 years to maximize the revenue because then the owner wants to sell the club, you cannot really do this. So the ownership, I think, is the key.
Yeah, that makes plenty sense. To go back to that point about the location of Como, I spoke about how beautiful the place is. It attracts lots of tourists.
Have you been to Como?
It's in there. I haven't. I was hoping we wouldn't say that.
I am going to invite you.
I can't believe I just got ousted like that. No, I really wanted to, but I'll be there, I think, this year. I want to speak about the property aspect of that stadium and the ground, and how it then feeds into the location. What are some of the opportunities, or at least the potential you see going forward? I know not a lot would have been done because the club is only just back in the top tier, still have finding the ground, but what are some potentials you see, or maybe successes already from that unique location and the property you have?
Yeah, it's a very, very important topic for us, of course. So just to give you an idea, when I arrived here, the capacity of the stadium was 6,500 seats. So it was really, really a tiny, tiny stadium. So we managed, once we got promoted, to increase the capacity, and now we are at 10,500. Next year we must hit 12,000. That is the minimum to play in Serie A. So because of the number of years we were without Serie A, we basically had this wild card, kind of wild card, to play 1 year under the minimum of regulation. But the incredible thing is the location of the stadium. As you mentioned, it's really close to the lake. And I don't think that in the whole Europe there's a stadium in such an amazing location. Of course, from a facility and property point of view, it's very tough because, of course, it's in the middle of the town, and you don't have many space to innovate or to create or to build. And also you have many constraints from politics, from traffic, from historical also, because the stadium is from 1927 and it's basically regulated from a body which is called Sovrintendenza, that gives the lines, the headlines to follow if you have a monument, because our stadium is a monument. So you basically, if you want to destroy the stadium and build a new one, you cannot do it in Italy because of this aspect that I told you. So it's very delicate. Also, when it comes the idea of a new venue, that the ownership has pretty clear in their mind, and we are trying to realize their vision, and also to deal with this bureaucracy, with administrative steps that in Italy are mandatory, and moreover, in our site, they are even tougher than any other. So tough, but the challenge is the best way, to test also your skills, your abilities, and what you have learned in your past experiences. So.
Oh yeah, that sounds it sounds sad in a sense, because there is a lot of potential, that I can imagine from such location. But these restrictions, I can imagine they're not only limited to Como, but I think it's if something has huge potential, not being able to reach it can be very frustrating. Would you say that is one of the or the biggest challenge in your role or in your job so far? Are there other things that on a day-to-day basis you have to navigate and struggle with?
No, but of course the vision, it's the key, as I mentioned before. So yeah, it's also a big power and motivation in order to never give up and always try to find a solution for the future, for the new venue that we are planning to build, that will be 100% in that location. And for the match day, like say for the present, the difficult thing is to manage the match day, because you imagine when we played against AC Milan last week, this week actually, on Tuesday, the problems were on a working day. So traffic, people coming, viability. That is the toughest part of the actual job. So also to let the fans join the stadium on quite in advance, but of course it has to be, quite aware that the people are working. So also the turnstiles and the access has to be really ready, because probably they will come on a timing that is really close to the opening of to the match day, the timing of the match. So this is one of the main criticity that we are facing, also because we have so many activities in the pre-match. So from the food and beverage experience, the hospitality, the events, we host concerts before the match, also all the activation for fans, for kids. So it's a huge platform, that we have in our hands. And dealing with all the criticities that a match day can give to you, it's the biggest challenge.
Sounds like a lot in that type of unique venue, like you mentioned. If I hear you correctly,
you will see with your eyes.
I will. Thank you for the invitation, even though you haven't expressly stated it. I'm reading between the lines. But one thing, if I hear you correctly, you referenced was a new venue. Will that suggest that the club is moving to a new location to further be able to explore and innovate, or are you finding ways around all these restrictions that you currently have?
Yeah, the second one. Yeah, we must find a solution, even with a new venue, with a new project. We want to play as much as we can in our venue. So, yeah, the ideal thing, there are some clubs in Italy, one in particular that is Atalanta, that has done an amazing project and basically playing their venue, even during the construction period. Of course, with, the location is different from Bergamo to Como. But yeah, the idea that we want to do is trying. As I mentioned before, once that we have a vision, we have to find all the possible solution, and we have to invent also solution to let the team play in our venue for the rest of the period, for the rest of the time. So yeah. Anyway, we need to play, and we want to stay there.
Amazing. We will come back to Como in a bit. We spoke a lot about the FIFA Master at the start, and I can imagine someone watching, maybe that piques their interest. Maybe they want to find out more about the program. But I want to tie the FIFA Master into your very interesting career journey, Leo. You did not seem to, even though you worked for the big clubs, you worked in a field that I don't think a lot of people would have thought about during that program, because when we are in that program, most people just want to, go straight to work, maybe at FIFA or do other roles that are, out there in marketing and sponsorships. How important is it that, students who are hoping to make that transition into, the deep part of sports look at or look or broaden their horizon, to put that correctly, into aspects that you most likely will not think about?
Well, it may sound a bit naive, but really I have followed my passion. So again, when I was watching a game, when I am a fan, but a few years ago, again, I was staring at the fans, at the chants, and the passion of the fans, and especially the energies that they have. And so that basically lead me to follow this dream. And during the master, of course, I was open to any possible opportunities from FIFA, from UEFA. But when you have a dream, what I have learned is, try as much as you can to follow. And of course, right after the master, I spent a few months without having something concrete in my hand. But I think it's natural. But I really never thought that I was doing something wrong, or that I should have accepted a role or a position that it's not in my soul, because probably then I could not have expressed all my potential still. So that is the reason that basically I have followed during my master. I always wanted to work in the Italian football. And even though I remember few guys that I don't name, but they suggest me not to work in Italy because, Italy is not that, at the time, wasn't that, modern in terms of facilities. But, when you have something that is really in your blood, in your veins, I said, okay, thanks for the suggestion, but I want to follow a little bit stubborn, I am. Also, my colleagues at the master, they remember me for these features, pretty stubborn. But yeah, I mean, if I can give an advice, is that follow your dreams. Already having accepted or being part of the FIFA Master is already a huge success. So it means that you have realized one dream. Now, why stop? Just move on. Maybe you're lucky, and the only thing is not having that hurry, to work right after and make money. Trying to give you an objective, and then of course, what happens?
It's up to the universe, I would say. But again, it's not necessarily just the universe. I think, like you said, doing the FIFA Master is a big step. You've already put yourself out there in many ways. You've made great connections. For me personally, I feel like the knowledge I had before I came and what I suddenly thought was possible in the world of sports it was just great. I didn't imagine that, there's a complex world of stakeholders and there's so many industries, that you can navigate into. It's not just about the organizations, but agencies as well that are, all in cooperation working in sports. So yes, indeed, it's a big success on its own. And that thing you said about, stubbornness and resilience, I feel like that is one quality you must certainly have to an extent to succeed, not just in sports, but anywhere. What would you say are some of the qualities that have helped you up until this level, on a personal level, and maybe one that, is particularly needed in sports itself to survive?
So it's a tough question. I mean, I think that thinking about my personal and my working experience, the empathy, I think it's a feature that if you want to work in sports, you should have. Because, for example, the connection that you can have into the FIFA Masters are probably the key aspect of your future career, because I can tell you that my experience was like that. So thanks to a colleague that know me very well, so gave me a call and say, look, there is this opportunity. But even when you are during the master, and maybe you are facing a lesson that maybe is not really your core business, maybe another sport that is not really your love sports, but always thinking about the sacrifices and those difficulties for the one that is big to you, and try to catch something from them, sharing your personal contacts, smile, shake your hands, go and grab a beer together, and listen to what they have done, and tell them your experience, tell them your dream, and maybe someone that you never think that it could be the right person is going to give you a tip, is going to give you, send you a position. So the empathy, I think it's the most important thing, not just for the FIFA Master, but also for when you approach such a world, such a sport thing.
Yeah, totally. I agree. And that is a very, very good answer, Leo, even though you said it was a difficult question. I think you pulled out a very brilliant answer. It's really important to be considerate of others. In every aspect of life, really.
Still a commercial guy, so
Yeah, always something in that bucket, to pull out. That's great. Speaking of commercial, I want to go a little bit, back to Como before we start to wrap things up. But I want to look at the property and commercial industry in general. Where do you think there are still gaps that needs to be filled? I think now that is the tricky question, Leo, not the other one. But I can leave that scope to Italy. I'm like you did reference, this is not just a Como situation. Other clubs as well have their struggles. Where do you think the industry need to move forward to next to really have that breakthrough? And make sure of course.
No, well, I can give you my personal opinion, and that is basically if you analyze a balance sheet of Italian football clubs, we are relying upon the TV rights of course, in a huge way, and so the main revenue streams are not really balanced, because this TV rights thing is covering more than 50% of the revenue. And if you compare to other clubs, let's say UK club, those three main revenue streams that are, let's say, match day, sponsorship, and TV rights, they are balanced. So if for one reason or another you have a problem or something that happens in one of the three, you have the other two that can, as a proper pillars, can let you survive. While in Italy we have this, weird situation, because of course we cannot make that much revenue from the venue, from the match day, but in particular from the non-match days. That is the key to increase the revenue in my department. So not just when you play, because you play once, twice, 3 times per month, 4 if you have the European club,
Yep.
you have in a month other 26 days to make money from the ancillary revenue of a stadium, of a venue, of a training center. So this is the gap that we face now.
How are you currently going on about that at Como? The non-match day revenues. You referenced concerts before the matches. Do we see that, away from match days? Do we have stadium rentals? How is that side of the business going? Comment.
Yeah, well, we of course the stadium is not ours, is owned by the municipality of Como, so we have to follow certain rules. So we cannot really host events, let's say concert during a non-match days. We have certain limits. Of course, we are trying to maximize the opportunities that we have for the match days, but also wherever we can host some events in our venue. So we are working on that. But the level that we can reach if we have a new venue, it's incomparable to what we are trying. So yeah, let's try to make the mindset ready for this vision that I was talking to you. But yeah, at the moment there are attempts. And also the training facility, to try to get the community as close as we can, not just when we play, but all the days, all the non-match days, through the modern technologies that we can reach everyone everywhere. So thanks to the technology, the social, the media, and also the TV. But we can reach the community, we can reach the tourists, we can reach everywhere and everyone. Yeah. So, but still, the new venue is the key to fill the gap with the rest of Europe, because then we want to participate also to European Cup, hopefully, sooner or later. So this is the objective.
Yeah, I mean, with the path the club is taking, it's not far-fetched to believe that soon you will partake in European competitions. And fingers crossed and everything. We're also wishing you the very best of luck in your role. We hope that you can have lots of trailblazing successes that, clubs even out of Italy can copy. I'm really rooting for you on that point because, like you said, nobody else in Europe has that fantastic location like you do. Thank you very much for your time, Leo. Don't think you're off the hook yet, because I have one final question, which we will ask all of our guests who feature on the podcast. And I'm wondering, what interesting thing are you currently, working on or involved on aside your current role right now? What interesting thing has caught your eye recently that you want to share, if there is any?
Like more in details, what you think? So what's the...
What have you found interesting recently? Is it a book you read? Is it something you listened to? Is it something with your family? Did you start a new sport because everybody's picking up sports nowadays?
No, I have the right answer. I mean, basically, when I moved from Rome to Como, the first 6 months I was without my family, my kid that is 2 years old. So I really struggled. I really struggled. So after that, for these 6 months, my family joined me here. And the importance of the family, of your beloved people, it's an additional boost to work and to do the 100% of what you can give. So yeah, the love at the end of the day,
Yeah,
love is the key. Love is the answer.
Yeah, what a brilliant answer. Thank you so much for that, Leo. I'm glad. I think I struggled with that one, but thanks for sharing. And I wish you all the best, and your family as well, as you navigate this role you're currently in. Well, thank you very much, everyone who has been watching CIES Talks. This podcast is basically brought to you by CIES, and you'll be hearing from experts across the sports industry as they share their experiences navigating their professional careers. Dibola Banjo is my name. Thank you again for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one.